Hashimoto'sHealing.com.
Hey people, I'm Mark Ryan, licensed acupuncturist and herbalist from Hashimoto'sHealing.com. One of the most common concerns for people with Hashimoto's is maintaining proper body weight. I've had consultations with over 750 people with Hashimoto's in the last 19 months, and about 80% of them shared that they have weight-related issues. And it's really frustrating for a lot of people, because by anybody's standard, they're careful about what they eat. They exercise, sometimes 4 or 5 times a week. I mean, it's not like they're couch potatoes eating junk food all day, not by a long shot. But the weight just won't come off. It's discouraging, and it can make you feel like, what's the use? These issues usually come in 2 varieties. They gain weight, can't lose it, or they have trouble keeping weight on. As with all things Hashimoto's related, there are many reasons for both. In this video, we're going to focus on why it's so hard for many people to lose weight and what to do about it so you can get better results. For people who have trouble losing weight, there are about 5 different areas that we need to look at. And one of the obvious things that people think about with Hashimoto's and with hypothyroidism and weight gain is the fact that the thyroid affects the body's metabolism. And what is metabolism anyway? Well, in technical terms, it's the amount of oxygen used by the body over a particular amount of time. When this measurement's made at rest, it's called the basal metabolic rate, or the BMR. Testing BMR was, once upon a time, used to assess a patient's thyroid status. Those with lower BMRs were found to have underactive thyroids, and those with overactive thyroids were found to have high BMRs. Later studies showed that low thyroid hormone levels were linked to low BMRs. But high or low BMRs are associated with changes in energy balance. And energy balance comes down to the difference between how many calories you eat and how many calories your body burns. And things that create high BMR, like amphetamines, for example, often cause a negative energy balance, which results in weight loss. And based on this, many people originally assumed that changes in thyroid hormone levels, which can lead to changes in BMR, should lead to the same changes and the same weight losses. So you just take thyroid hormone and the weight goes. Simple. Yeah, not so fast, Speedy Gonzalez. As with most things related to the body, it turns out that it's way more complicated than that. Other hormones, proteins, and neurotransmitters have also been found to be part of the mix. And some of them that are worth taking a look at and dealing with are leptin, insulin, neuropeptide Y, serotonin, and inflammatory proteins like interleukin 6. Physiologically, evolution takes quite a long time relative to our short lives. And our ancestors evolved in a calorie-poor environment where fat was pretty hard to come by. As a result, our bodies developed a natural tendency to store whatever fat was available. And that fat got programmed with some pretty ingenious innate intelligence. And one of those ingenious adaptations from the clever mind of fat is the hormone leptin. Leptin is a hormone that's made in your fat cells, and it is involved in maintaining body weight. Interestingly enough, it also has influence on the thyroid. Leptin acts as an important control system that communicates with other organs about the state of your fat balance, and whether to eat more or to stay in a low metabolism survival state. And when you have more fat cells, you get higher leptin levels. The high leptin lets your hypothalamus, the kind of master gland in your brain, know that you don't need to eat as much. So your metabolism slows down, and this signals you to make more thyrotropin-releasing hormone, and that raises TSH. And the TSH tells your thyroid to make more thyroid hormone. And this is what happens when everything is working properly. But with Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism, lots of things are often not working properly, and many people develop leptin resistance. You may have heard of insulin resistance. Well, leptin resistance is similar and often happens at the same time. In fact, both are consequences of being overweight. With hypothyroidism, people often become overweight and use less energy. And the increased amounts of fat and the lower energy use can result in leptin resistance, where the leptin stops doing its job. It stops telling you when to eat, and it stops signaling your thyroid. And of course, many people's natural inclination when they gain weight is to go on a diet and try and lose it. And guess what? Chronic dieting and or major stress are common causes of leptin resistance. So leptin resistance makes the hypothalamus believe you're in a starvation mode and you need to make more fat. So TSH goes down, you don't convert as much T3 from T4, and your reverse T3 goes up. And in what can only be described as unfair and cruel, your appetite actually increases. So a vicious cycle is created in which more fat accumulates, you're hungrier, and your thyroid is slower. Over time, you gain weight, especially around the midsection, and it becomes more difficult to lose the weight and the accumulated fat. And leptin controls and influences the immune system too. It is chemically very similar in structure to interleukin 6, which is an inflammatory immune protein that studies have shown to be significantly elevated in women with Hashimoto's. And one of the places where you can find high concentrations of interleukin 6 is in the fat that accumulates right around your gut. And the adipose tissue is highly inflammatory and can itself lead to the progression and a more aggressive proliferation of the disease. Low vitamin D has also been associated with both insulin and leptin resistance. And vitamin D is an important anti-inflammatory that's often low in people with hypothyroidism. So your perception of hunger is intimately linked with your brain chemistry. Normally when things are working properly, your hypothalamus gets signaled that you need energy, and a brain neurotransmitter called neuropeptide Y is released. It makes you want to eat more carbohydrates. Think overwhelming urge to finish that can of Pringles. And this surge is what can make you feel hunger cravings and hunger. So high levels of NPY can actually lead to functional hypothyroidism. And once your body has had enough carbohydrates, the brain releases serotonin, which is your brain's way of saying, put down the bag and step away from the counter. So with hypothyroidism, you may also have less serotonin production, and all the accompanying emotional and psychological problems that are related to that, like depression and minimized signaling that tells you to stop eating. The cravings don't go away. They intensify with weight gain and hypothyroidism. And this leads us to another super common problem that results from all of this: blood sugar problems. There are really two different kinds of blood sugar problems, and many people with Hashimoto's have kind of a mixture of both. And these are hypoglycemia, which means too little sugar in the blood, and insulin resistance, which is too much sugar in the blood. With Hashimoto's, both of these blood sugar problems can make things worse. Hypoglycemia is really a condition where you don't have enough cortisol to raise blood sugar to the normal level. And there's a big connection between the adrenal glands and sugar. In fact, we often see adrenal fatigue and hypoglycemia going together. And the problem is this repeated cortisol release causes low blood sugar, and that suppresses pituitary function. And the pituitary is the master gland in the brain that instructs the thyroid. This is where TSH comes from. Pituitary releases TSH to stimulate the thyroid. And where do we have a problem from the adrenals? Yep, you guessed it, in the thyroid. Cortisol also directly inhibits the enzyme that converts T4 into T3. T3 is what your body uses. And this can lead to low T3 levels. And high cortisol will cause thyroid hormone receptor insensitivity, means that even if T3 levels are high enough, it may not be able to bind normally to the receptor sites. And when this happens, it doesn't get in the cells. And when it doesn't get in the cells, it doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, you feel crappy and tired. Cortisol will also increase the production of reverse T3, and reverse T3 is inactive. It's kind of like the anti-hormone. Reverse T3 can cause production of stuff known as thyroamines that can cause hypothyroid symptoms like fatigue, along with high blood sugar. The other type of blood sugar problem is caused by too much blood sugar. This causes insulin resistance. When you eat too many carbs and too much sugar, the pancreas secretes insulin to move extra glucose out of the blood into the cells where glucose is used to produce energy. But over time, the cells lose their ability to respond to insulin. When the pancreas pumps out even more insulin in an effort to get glucose into the cells, this eventually causes insulin resistance. Insulin resistance or too much sugar every day increases destruction of the thyroid gland in autoimmune thyroid disease, Hashimoto's. Insulin resistance can also cause a reduced conversion of T4 to T3. See, there it is again. T4 isn't converted into T3, and it doesn't work. You feel crappy and tired. But when this is dealt with by getting off of sugar and moving on to something more like a paleo diet, the cells can once again start using glucose for energy, and T3 production picks up. This improves your energy. You start feeling better and more hopeful. In a simple sense, this can all be summed up with one word: inflammation. Being overweight is a problem of inflammation. And so is Hashimoto's, the most common cause of hypothyroidism. So the most important thing to do is reduce inflammation. And if you do that, you can start to unwind these hormonal and neurotransmitter disruptions that are leading you down the path of feeling really crappy a lot of the time and gaining weight. I've created a program that has enabled many people, including myself, to lose substantial amounts of weight. And it's a byproduct of focusing on the big picture. By working on improving the way your body functions in several different areas, we boost your metabolism, dramatically reduce inflammation, and turn you into a more efficient fat burner. We clean up your liver, to improve thyroid hormone conversion and the breakdown of other hormones like cortisol and estrogen in your body. We reduce systemic inflammation, which itself is responsible for much of this excess weight. We put you on an autoimmune diet that transforms you from a sugar addict to a fat-burning powerhouse. We offer real solutions to stress so that you can stop pumping out all this cortisol and start healing your adrenals and building up your energy reserves. And that's just part of what my 5 Elements of Thyroid Health program offers. And here's a few real examples of weight loss successes from people who completed my program and applied the strategies that I teach. Marie G lost 30 pounds. Gail H lost 40 pounds. Lori S lost 18 pounds. Christian T lost 22 pounds. Diana L lost 24 pounds. Amy S lost 27 pounds. And one of the things that I frequently discuss in my teaching and in my consultations is that Hashimoto's is a multi-system disorder. It's not just a thyroid problem or just an immune system problem. It extends into all the major systems of the body, including the liver, the adrenals, the pancreas, the stomach, the digestive tract, and yes, the brain. And this is often why people don't get better, because their doctors ignore all these other systems that are breaking down and just keep increasing the dosage of thyroid hormone. Well, a lot of times that strategy doesn't work. You need a multi-system approach, and that's what I offer. A strategy for first determining where the problems are, and then a program designed to fix them. And in the next video, I'll show you how this multi-system approach works. And you'll discover some great strategies for healing, for losing that ugly fat around your abdomen, and getting abundant energy back into your life. I'm Mark Ryan, licensed acupuncturist and herbalist from Hashimoto'sHealing.com. Hope, help, and healing. With a hint of humor, Hashimoto'sHealing.com.